Hi, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Love Your Work. This is my opportunity to talk with people who are doing work that they love and to share with you the lessons that they've learned along their work journey. And today I have with me author, speaker, and business mentor, Beth Nydick. How are you, Beth?
Whitney, I'm so excited to talk to you and talk to your people. This is going to be a great time together.
I am looking forward to it as well. So, we met in a group that is looking at sharing not only lessons about work that they love, but all kinds of messages. And I know that you are deeply ensconced in that work and helping your clients get on TV and do other things. So, tell us a little bit about what it means to what it is exactly that you do, what it means to be a business mentor, and then we'll go from there.
Definitely. So I help entrepreneurs and personal brands show up confidently on press like TV, knowing that their foundations of their business are set in solid structure, while not really being deterred by the frustration it can take to really getting your publicity strategy off the ground. I feel it like this: if you're on Good Morning America tomorrow, which happens to be my dream for 2021, if you're on Good Morning America tomorrow, what's that doing for your business?
Right.
So, as a business mentor, and an ex holistic health coach, I really holistically look at your business to make sure that you're stepping forward with the right feet and you can actually make money, increase your credibility, and have a good time all at the same time.
I love that. And anything that involves having a good time is
Oh, yeah.
something that I love. So what do you love about the work that you're doing?
It's funny that you say that because I was on a mastermind call last night and they're like, everyone was talking about what they actually wanted to be doing and not what their business was, because your business could be one thing, but your overall message is something else. So for me, it's transforming people's lives to, to increase the availability to create opportunities of possibility that all lead to freedom. It's where it all leads. It leads to being able to make choices and do exactly what you want, but transforming personal development a little bit, but really transforming yourself. Because I had a client this morning and a lot of the conversation was he was talking about how he's not a good business person, but then would tell me the good business practices he was doing. So the
Okay.
conversation, we did talk about PR for 45 minutes, but for 15 minutes, we really talked about headspace, because I really want my clients to be able to activate everything that God gave them,
Yeah.
all their superpowers, and to be able to move forward. There's a quote that I love. It goes like this: courage is taking your talents through the fear and into the light.
I love that. I love
Me
that.
too. I really do. It's I say it all the time now. Somebody in one of my groups said something similar. So but I went back. I couldn't figure out who it was. So I don't know who actually said the actual quote, but that's what I've taken from it. And every time I'm scared and every time I want to stop, because what you and I do is actually difficult, mentally difficult. It's not physically hard. It's not hard to do all this entrepreneur stuff, but it's hard up here. So for me, taking that, like, okay, I have courage, and that means I'm taking a step forward with what what God gave me to be able to
Right.
share with the world.
Where did you find your courage? Where did you find the ability, or was it something that you stepped onto this planet with?
I have really great parents. I really do. I'm close with my parents. I saw them last night. We're on the same pod together for COVID. But I grew up with them. I wasn't told to be cute and quiet. I wasn't told to look pretty. I wasn't told girls couldn't do this. Like, my parents owned car washes at that time, and I was working at the car wash at the cash register, or outside, like helping around. But for me, they always told me, they always kind of gave to me, like, that's a great thought, but what about doing more? What about helping? What about giving back? Like, there was no boxes. It was just open wide space for me
Mm-hmm.
to step into it. So I never knew that that you could stop yourself as a little kid. Like, I tell these stories all the time. Like, I would go up to celebrities that I would see on the street in New York and, like, talk to them, not ask for a picture, or I would, like, ask the teacher what I wanted. I was that kid that just didn't hold back, because I wasn't taught that that was even an option.
Right, right. And so is that one of the challenges that you find with your clients, that they have come from a place where they have been put in boxes or
Oh yeah.
taught that that's where life happens?
Oh, 100%. And the messages that they've gotten, or the traumatic events that they went through, and the things that they're doing to keep themselves safe and keep
Mm,
themselves small. My family and I went through a couple of traumatic events in a very short amount of time, and it opened up that place in me that I didn't know, that was small, that was protective, and it took me a while to get back to myself, to be stepped back out. So I understand where that is, because I honestly, before 5 years ago, I didn't understand what that was, to be small, to think
mm,
small, and to protect yourself in that way. And it's all trauma. No, you could have the best parents in the world and the best situation and all the money
right.
in the world growing up, but you still have trauma. So it's how you relate to that and how you can work through it. And with my clients, it's taking all of that trauma and everything that hurts and turning that into a positive and creating the possibility out of that.
And how do you get them to a place where they're willing to do that?
Sometimes it's hard, but I come to it from this point of view. You make everything mean something.
Right.
That's it. So you're going to make this mean that you're bad. You're going to make it mean that this is too hard. What if I didn't show up today? Would you have said, I'm not good enough for Beth to be on my show? Beth doesn't like me. Beth, da, 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 da. What
I would have
happened? I
sent you
didn't show
I would
up.
have sent you an email and said we need to reschedule, right?
Oh yeah, right. Right. But
Right.
so take it back to that, like, what if your best friend, I mean, not your best friend, but a good friend didn't call you back for a week? Or somebody you want to work with doesn't call you
Right.
back. You can make it mean how you suck.
Right.
Or you can think about the story that you've created, or they didn't call you back, and that's about it. So when I illustrate that
Right.
to my clients,
Exactly. The facts are the facts, right? Anything
right, that's
else
it.
you put on it, that's on you. And so that reminds me, it's a Tony Robbins ism. It's the same thing. Nothing has any meaning other than that which you give it, right? So
Yes.
it
Oh, I
doesn't
didn't know
mean
that.
anything. It's an event. It's something that happened, and you can choose, and that's the part that's really important for, I think, people to understand,
Oh yeah.
particularly as it relates to this topic of loving what you're doing. We get to decide whether to love the work we're doing or to do work that we love, right? Either way, whether you have something, and I've been there,
Yeah,
in a
totally.
situation where I had work that I was miserable in for way longer than I should have been. So you worked for your parents early on. So you grew up in a house that was filled with entrepreneurs and sort
Mhm.
of an entrepreneurial mindset. D- Did you think that you were going to be an entrepreneur, or did you have some notion somewhere along the way that you might try a different path?
There wasn't an option. I always feel like this. So when I was 13, I got a box of slides, and I made jewelry out of slides and went to all the little dress teen shops in my area and sold them. I was like the girl on the
Like
playground that was selling
the
stickers.
picture slides?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, really?
I was crafty.
That's
Like, I
really
was selling
creative.
stickers.
That's creative.
Yeah. I was very creative. I'm working to get that childlike creativity back. But I always grew up knowing that I wanted to be my own boss. I did work in TV production for corporations for a long time. And I liked it because there was still that freedom.
Mm.
Like, I was literally like me and a cameraman walking around New York City. That was my job. So I didn't have that like hated my job. But I love working for myself, and I always knew that no matter what I was doing, I always was going to have something that I was
Mhm.
creatively creating around me, because I need that outlet. I'm not a, I don't do other things, but I like to create.
So you started as a jewelry designer and a salesperson.
Yeah,
What were some of the other creative endeavors that you've done?
I'll take it. Camp counselor. What's a good one? So when my kids were little, I worked at day camp with them. They were getting older, so I was like, I don't have $25,000 to spend my kids to sleepaway camp, because I live in the Northeast and that's what a lot of us do. So I figured out a way to work there. So I worked at I went to sleepaway camp with my kids for a summer, and I was the sports director.
Did they appreciate that? I'm just curious. Did they appreciate that you were there?
Yeah, they did. Well,
Oh,
because when they
cool.
were at day camp, since my little one was 2 and my big one was 4, I was at the day camp with them, so they were used to having me around. And I like to think that I'm a cool mom, and they like to hang out with me, and I don't overstep. I'm not that mom, but I worked at the coffee shop. I always did something until I realized what I wanted to do and the messages that I wanted to get out to people in the world, to understand that you can create any possibility and your potential is endless when you put your mind to it. So, I worked at MTV, I worked at the Tonight Show. I had crazy interactions with A-list celebrities, which are so much fun to talk about too. But I always had that creative outlet in there.
That's pretty cool. And how did you finally, you said you finally came to that place, but what were the I don't know, the pieces or the final piece that said, this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be a business mentor. I'm going to be a speaker and, a coach, and help people, you know, get their message out. So your message is to help people get their message. How did you come to
It is.
that?
I think I've been doing it my whole life. I was the president of my student unions, when I was little, and like youth groups and Jewish organizations. I was
Mhm.
always on the board. Like, my best friend says to me that I'm always the chief. I'm never an Indian. She's like, because she's a teacher, and she's like, if you were a teacher, you'd be principal. Like, I like to be running the show
Okay.
because I just do on it. Like, I'm 100% me, honestly. Like, I'll tell you my bads and my goods. But I really feel like I've always been trying to pull people up and help them realize who they are, even as a 14-year-old girl. Even as like I was one of the first girls to play baseball in my town growing up, because
Okay.
I wanted to play baseball. I don't even know, 7, 9. I was little, but I never knew that was like, I never felt different. I never felt like it wasn't okay for me to be me. And I remember like walking in there and just being one of the guys, and being that rah because I wanted to bring everybody together and bring everybody up. I like when people like each other. Not that, I like when people get along. So if I can facilitate that, while helping to prepare a message that everyone can gain from, it really lights me up. Because before the cookbook and before I did what I'm doing now, I was a nutritionist for a long time. So I was helping people get healthy from the inside out, and then really actualize what their dreams were. But I realized when I started doing a lot of speaking about how I got the book published, without the 50,000 followers or $50,000,
Right.
I was so much more fulfilled by helping people make a change to their Instagram or a change to the way they thought about their business. And I could see that transformation over the next year. That was like, that gave me the solidification that I needed to be doing this. Plus, I had people coming to me for lots of questions, and my husband was like tired of me doing it for free. So
Those practical husbands, right?
those practical things.
so so I see what you're doing as, I see it as as necessary, right? And a lot of people may not see how it fits into their business, but talk a little bit about how what you're doing and how you are walking alongside your clients, how it actually makes a difference for them.
It makes a huge difference, because being visible and having the credibility to go along with your superpower gets more clients. Like, we have to think about what the goals are. If your goal is to get more followers to work with brands, if your goal is to get more clients, if your goal is to get higher speaking fees, depending on what your goal is, using PR to increase your credibility is such a free, like, let's put it out there. It's free. It just takes time and effort, and it's available to you by just opening your mouth. I don't love the webinar funnel. I don't love, all that kind of stuff, because I know that I can get my message out to the right audience, talking to the right people. Like, I'm talking to your audience now. These are my people. These are the people that you and I can really help. So this helps my business also. And the part that I really love personally is, like, now Whitney and I are friends. And now I have her in my back pocket, and I can help her and she'll help me, and we can really grow together, because I am 12,000% in on everyone coming up together. Because I
Right.
know that I need that. I need other women around me, other men around me that have the same idea about helping everybody level up. And when we help everyone level up together, it works.
Right.
And it's easier and it's happier. But being the best kept secret doesn't put money in your bank account.
Oh, that is very true. But people are so, well, the studies say people are so
Right.
afraid of being, stepping out, being out in public speaking. And
Yeah.
so it's easier for someone to, blast a post or have a magazine ad or something like that, rather than to put themselves out there. And here you are saying, no, you need to put yourself out there.
You do,
I
because
can
that's
see that
so
as a real
small.
challenge for you.
It is a real challenge for a lot of people. It's a real challenge, but when you're ready and you want your business to succeed, you need to step into it and you need to lead your business. If you're leading your business from behind your phone, my loves, it's not going to go anywhere. I take that back. I don't want to
That goes
discourage
back to
anybody.
your
It'll
comment
stay
earlier
here.
about courage, though, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. It'll stay here. But the moment you tell people about your stories, where you come from, where your heart is, where your soul is, it's like that know, like, and trust. I kind of say it is like, it's not knowing about you, it's knowing your soul and knowing who you are. And when people come to, they come to my social, or they see this, they see the things that I do, or listen to my podcast, I'm 100% giving you me and wanting you to be a part of my universe. I understand those people that don't want to do that, but then you need to run your business as a brand forward and not a soul forward. And honestly, in my opinion, it's just not the way to go. So, if you are scared to show up on video, start with photos. If you're scared to be on photos, like I don't want to say it like this, but this is not for you if that's where you are. If you believe in yourself that you can get through that, but if you're like, I'm always going to stay here, then go help somebody else that can step forward, because your talents need to be out there. And I honestly believe, like, you're doing a disservice to the world if you don't share your superpowers. But if you know that you're not that person, then maybe you're not a leader. All that time and money and energy you're putting into what you're creating, put it into somebody's dream that aligns with what you want to talk about. Because I want you to feel successful. I don't want you doing this for 10 years and not getting anywhere and feeling bad. Like, that's not for you. But being very self-aware and knowing what you can actually do, what you can accomplish, that's what I'm talking about. I want to caveat that I can't tell you how many times I tell my business coach, I'm just going to create somebody else's, I'm just going to do it for somebody else. I can't do this. This is too much. I want to throw up every time I have a TV appearance, like literally 5 minutes before I'm figuring out how to get out of it. Like, we're all scared, but those people that are going to be the thought leaders,
Right.
and the experts, those people are going to step into it. Yeah, it's scary, but let's step into the light.
And so I totally agree with you. And I'm thinking about and tying this in, because what I see you doing is being an example of what you're talking about, right? Especially as it relates to being a leader. And you've mentioned that you like being the leader. I'm wondering what are some of your favorite lessons that you've learned as you've been a leader and leading others by example?
One of the one things that I really love is that everyone is scared out of their brains. They are. I don't care if they're, so I worked at the Tonight Show with Jay Leno in LA in the 90s. And I got to work in the green room area with all the celebrities. I can't tell you how nervous these major, like Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks, Arnold Schwarzenegger, like crazy people were nervous about going on television. So if Tom Hanks is nervous before he goes on the Tonight Show, then it's okay for you to go be nervous and go on a live on your own IGTV. Like, everyone's scared, everyone's nervous. No one, yes, a lot of people walk through with their bravado. And if you can tell, if I'm really nervous, I have lots of bravado because I'm just going to pretend that I can do this. But everyone's nervous, everyone's scared, everyone has imposter syndrome, everyone has those night sweats at 2 o'clock in the morning. They can't pay their bills and I don't want to do this anymore. So I want everybody that has those feelings to just take a deep breath and understand that means you're part of the community. And that also kind of means you're starting to be an entrepreneur, because when that stuff comes up, that's like your rites of passage to walk through it.
Wow. And these are conversations I imagine you're actually having with your clients. I mean,
Oh.
it's like, come on.
Yes.
Tom Hanks is nervous. It's okay. It's okay.
I feel like a lot because I'll do videos just for my clients. Like if I'm shooting a cocktail segment later for a TV show, I will do a live stream for my clients so they can watch me as I do it. So when they see me like change 6 times and be nervous and mess up my words and stop, I've stopped recording so that I can start over again so I don't sound stupid. Like, we all have that stuff. For me with my clients, I really think about it like this. If you have a plan of action, meaning you have a workflow, on Tuesdays, this is what I'm doing for work, this is what I'm doing for my content. So there's no question about what you have to accomplish that day. You're 100% in action mode. All that imposter syndrome and all that stuff that stops us kind of falls away because you don't have headspace for it. So it's having a strategic plan. That's what helped me. I hired a productivity coach last year, changed the way I do business. I work a lot less and I make a lot more because now I have a real system.
It's interesting you say that. I never thought about it, but now that you mention it, when there is time to think, that's where the mind goes. And when there isn't time to think, you can just kind of do what needs to be done, right? Go with it. And that feels like more of a going with the flow. So interesting.
It does. And then when you put that stuff up and you get that one person that says, thank you, I needed to hear that. Or you get the 3 likes, and I mean 3, like when you're starting out, you get 3 likes and you don't know one of them. Hey, that's a new audience member. It's a great feat for one day to get somebody new. So, celebrating those little wins too, but it's got to mean something.
And let's talk about that for a second, because that's one of the things that when you talk about imposter syndrome and having this fear, putting yourself out there, and you've got running in your head whether or not someone is going to like what you're doing, right? And then you get crickets or you get 1 or 2. How do you help someone move past focusing on those metrics and to just continue to stay the course?
Patience. It's all patience. It's trial and error and patience. And again, like if you don't have the patience and the fortitude to go through that, you need to be self-aware and think about it. But you're building something. I can't tell you, I work for 3 weeks content. I put it out there. I get crickets. I put out that I found a new drink that I like. And guess what? I have 500 comments. Like there's no rhyme and reason to getting the feedback. But I think detaching yourself from the feedback needs to happen. Because just because somebody didn't like it doesn't mean somebody didn't see it. And just because somebody didn't see it today doesn't mean they're not going to see it tomorrow. Right. You need to have faith in what you're doing. And if that's faith in universe, God, source, Buddha, like whoever it is, but having faith that you're on the right path and that the universe has you, God has you, your brother, sister, mother, son, father, whomever has you, that one person in the world has you, you'll be okay. But you have to like solidify yourself in that.
Right. And it seems to me that patience is a good one, right? But getting back to something else you said earlier was your why. Don't focus on the metrics, focus on your message, focus on your why, continue to stay the course with the patience, and trust that those people who need to see it, whether they respond or react or not. And one of the things I found, and I'm sure you found this too, you post something about something it's seemingly inconsequential, and you get all these responses, something that you poured your heart into and it's all deep, and
Yep.
people are like, whatever.
Yep.
But
Okay.
down the line, someone will say something, or there'll be a response to a post, and someone else someone will say, well, when you said such and such. So people are listening, people are watching.
Oh yeah.
Just because they're not engaging doesn't mean it isn't happening. And it seems that that's a really important message that people
Oh
have
yeah.
to embrace as well.
I really agree, but also I want people to think about it this way. I want you to go through first quarter and then look at your metrics if you're building. Like don't even pay attention, just keep moving. You got 3 months and then reevaluate, see what's working, what's not working. Because like I said before, that trial and error is really like the basis of being an entrepreneur. I've had launches, I've had webinars, no one shows up. But Gary Vee, he says, then you pretend there's 100 people in the room and you give it anyway. And I had a lot more people watch the replay, but I'm like sitting in my living room waiting for people to show up for this webinar and no one comes. Did that stop me? For a couple of days, I was kind of upset, but you know what? I got right back doing what I was doing. And the next one I had 6 people and I built it from there. But sometimes now I put stuff out and everyone asked for this. Everyone tells me they want this. Great. I put the product out. 0.
Right.
There's a reason. The messaging is wrong. Something's wrong. So I trial and error. I have a new product coming out. It's a how to build your rockstar media kit in a weekend. Fingers crossed. People want it. They've asked me for it. I don't know. It's trial and error. But I know I have faith in what I'm trying to accomplish and my overarching. When I work with clients, I ask them to think about what they're doing for the next 18 months, not the next 18 weeks.
I love that. I love that. So if you had to impart some words of wisdom to someone who was, say, starting in a business similar to yours, you are actually a mentor, coach, helping people. What is the number one piece of advice that you give to someone who's getting started?
Build your tribe. And I don't mean your audience. I mean your tribe of people. I have a tribe of women that I can't do without, that I speak to every Wednesday. Finding, there's that old adage is that like the 5 people you spend the most time with affect your life the most. Find your 5 people. Have your businesses all work for each other. Have them all adjacent. Maybe if you could find 5 people that all have the same demographics, so you're all talking the same audience and doing it together. Can you imagine the power? Oh, I just got the chills. Can you imagine the power? The power? I make Whitney, we might have to talk. But can you imagine the power of having 5 adjacent companies with 5 powerhouse owners to bring their brands together to market and to be able to help each other launch and help each other's audiences really succeed together?
Yeah.
That's the way you succeed. Is you can't do this alone. I did this alone for a very long time. It sucked and I didn't get anywhere. As soon as I hired my first coach and I started really being in masterminds with those groups of people and having, putting my tribe together, that's when my life changed. And not only in business, I mean, my life changed.
Right.
I'll tell you if I can tell you a really quick story.
Yes.
I just leveled up my business. I really did. The things that I have coming out in the next 6 weeks, I can't even tell you about them yet, but they're so exciting. But between, I don't know, December 10th and Christmas, I was like, I don't know if I can do this, guys. I'm not sure. I mean, like the crying, I mean, the like being on masterminds, crying, being on phone calls and not sleeping. And it was all me being too afraid to get to the next level, to really step into the light. Because, once you get here, then for me, then I want to be here. Then I want to be here. So if I didn't have those 5 girls, if I didn't have those people to really help me, I don't know where I'd be right now. But when those people show up for you and hold up a mirror to you to show you who you really are and what you can really accomplish. I was having a bad day. A girlfriend of mine who I've never met in person, we're in a mastermind together. She lives about an hour away. She showed up at my house the next morning.
Oh, wow.
Coffee. And she's like, you need to go for a walk. And we walked around for like 25 minutes and then she left. But the fact that somebody in my tribe showed up for me in that way, that gave me the courage, I don't know, the strength. I don't even I haven't really thought about it in this way. Like that gave me the knowledge that one person supports me and that I can do it with that one person behind me.
Mm,
Even though I have my whole tribe, and I have nice about these girls. Can you tell I'm so grateful for them? Like I love them so much because they are the reason that I'm going to get to the next level.
I
So
totally agree with you. Before, I guess, November of 2019, I was pretty much going it alone. And, I was in a mastermind group. It was great. And I absolutely subscribe to the notion of having one. And it was helping. But when I actually got connected, tribe, you say tribe, I think tribe. When I
yeah,
got connected with and I have a couple of different groups of women, um, it made all the difference. And because we were having conversations in a different way than were even happening in the mastermind. And
right.
so and it's something about women, and no disrespect to men, but
No,
something about women connecting that just helps that process. And then the other thing is not just the try, but the collaborations and the opportunities you're talking about, getting together and up leveling together. The collaborations have made the hugest difference for my
yeah,
business and last year. So um, you want to share with us how people can get in touch with you if they want to work with you, learn a little
yes.
bit more about you, and then I will edit the post that goes along with this and make sure that information is added there as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah, everyone, please go to bethnydick.com and download my Media Lab workbook. There, I give you a couple of my secrets and a lot of hacks. It's a great magazine style opt-in that I know that you can use for a very long time. That way you can get it into my email sequence, open my newsletter, and see what's going on next for Beth Nydick Media. I also would love you to come over to iTunes or Spotify or any of the podcast platforms and listen at Behind the Spotlight, where I take your favorite entrepreneurs off a pedestal and onto a bar stool next to you. We've had some amazing guests in the second season, guys. Watch out because it's going to be a fire.
I love it. Love it. So, Beth, thank you so much for making the time
Thank you.
to come and talk with us, to share a little bit about your work journey, what you love about what you're doing, and what you're doing next. So, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's a blast.
And for you watching, make sure you get connected to Beth. She's got her information will be in the post. And so check her out, check out what she's doing, take advantage of the opportunities that she's presenting for you, up level your business. And if you are not yet in business, check her out anyway. Maybe you get some ideas. So thank you for joining us for this episode
Thank
of
you.
Love Your Work. And until next time, take care.